Um, so we just kind of wanted to start with a little bit of visioning with you. The reason why we're doing this, as we told the folks in the live training, this is more than being just like having the smiling face at Christ the King, because that's important and we want to not be grumpy. Like that's part of it, but we really want to be the face of Jesus, right? We want to share the love of Jesus with people that are coming on to the cathedral grounds. And so um, we wanted to share, as we started, just briefly, a couple of instances where hospitality went well at Christ the King and one where it did not go so well, to just kind of underscore and demonstrate why this is an important ministry. So I'll start out with the not so great, and then I'll kick it over to Mike, and maybe he can share the one that was a little bit better. So we recently found out, through people kind of sharing it, that there was a mom, a local mom here in Lexington, and she posted anonymously in this Lexington moms group. So not a faith group or anything, just Lexington moms. And she said something to the fact of, I've gone to Christ the King, the Cathedral of Christ the King, for a while now. I'm finding it really hard to connect with the folks there. It's even a struggle to get my kids to their CCD classes. I'm wondering if anybody else has had that struggle at Christ the King. Are there other parishes in town that are better, smaller ones, or even other churches of other denominations that have worked for you? So that got kicked up to leadership, and it kind of, for me, I mean, it kind of hit like a ton of bricks, because I was thinking, shoot, this is somebody who's trying to be faithful, trying to live out their faith, but they feel so disconnected, feel so unseen, unrecognized, and not valued, that they're thinking about not only changing parishes, which is tough enough, but jumping ship from the Catholic Church. There's the possibility that she might change denominations. So now, we can't be everything to everybody all the time, but we need to do a better job. And I think this is something the staff, Father John, has really understood and recognized and want us to really focus on. We need to do a better job of being a welcoming presence to those who are coming on at the cathedral. Now, that's not to say we're a terrible parish, so we never get it right. That's an instance where we didn't, but we have gotten it right in the past before. So Mike is going to share that really quickly.
Yeah, and I'm going to share one story with that just I mean it's within the last 4 or 5 months this story happened. So we had a guy visit the parish who came in at the 9 a.m. mass. If you go to the 9 a.m. mass a lot, you'll know that Matt Whalen and his family normally stand outside and greet and do all that at the 9 a.m. mass. So the guy comes in, and Matt recognized he hadn't been there before and was kind of watching him during mass, and noticed he looked a little bit out of place, like not quite like he knew what was going on and everything. So, of course, Matt welcomed him when he went in. But after Mass, Matt went up to check on him and as well, and just, see what was going on. Was he new? Was he visiting? And turns out like he was visiting. It's probably one of the few times that he was back in a church again. Came back basically from agnostic or atheist that he'd been for the last few years. And Matt just kept kind of checking in with him each week, seeing what was going on, just really trying to make him feel at home and welcome in the parish. And turns out not long after that, then the guy joined OCIA. And so now he's a member of the Catholic Church, really just because of, and he told us because he's going to join the greeting team. He said, this is why I want to join the greeter ministry, because Matt made me feel so at home and welcomed when I was a visitor here. So he came into the church in January, and that is really the reason why he's here. So not to say that every time we greet someone that we're going to bring them into the church, but it gives a great example of how a simple greeting can bring someone into the church. And we really want to, with this ministry, kind of infuse that spirit of welcoming into the pews as well. We're going to be doing it at the doors and in other places, but we really want to infuse it in the pews as well and try to make the parish just as welcoming as it can be. So that's kind of the positive example for that. There's another one that's Jordan, who now works at the church. He was invited to mass just by a fellow parishioner. Didn't know the faith at all. He came into to mass with his young daughter, and again, looked really out of place, didn't know, sitting, standing, kneeling. He was confused about going up to communion. One of my friends was sitting behind him, and he was a single dad at the time as well. He's married now, and he had a young daughter. So he was looking for Jordan after Mass. He went out the main entrance, couldn't find him, and so he busted over to Heman Hall and got to Jordan right as he was getting in his car. And the guy was like, "Hey, not trying to be super creepy here, but I just saw you. I wanted to welcome you. You have a young daughter. You looked out of place a little bit, like you might not know what's going on." And again, it turned into a story of a guy, Jordan then went through the OCIA program, came into the Easter Vigil, and now he works at the parish. Just another example of how, that inviting culture and looking for people to, connect with in our parish brought another guy into our parish as well. So just a couple examples to kind of, yeah, get us going there. Casey, do you want to take back over or?
Yeah, could you pull up? I don't know if you can pull up the greeter / welcome desk. Um, so for this, we also realized that, us as church staff and, folks in the past, when they ask people to volunteer for something, sometimes people are hesitant to make to say, yes, I'll do that, because the commitment, they don't know if it'll ever end or if they're going to be every single week doing something. So we're trying to build up teams that are large enough to where your commitment to this, we're really asking, like, could you commit to serving on this 2 times at the most, like 2 times a month? Now, it's not going to be, I'm not going to fight you if you say you want to do it every Sunday, like, great. But we also recognize that, people want to have a little bit of flexibility. So we're trying to make this as flexible as possible. So there are basically 3 roles that we're looking at. And the first one falls under greeter ministry. So the greeters, obviously, as you can probably think, like, just in your head, imagine, we want greeters at all of our entrances to the cathedral. We want one on the exterior doors of Heman Hall. We want one on the exterior door or there at Guadalupe Chapel. We want the big main entrance covered. So ideally, we would have 2 people on each one, but we could get away with 1, of course, at each one. Then we have a new welcome desk that's coming in. It'll actually be here this week, although it won't be finished this week, we found out. So it'll still need to be, some things done to it, need to be stained, that kind of thing. But it'll at least be in the location of where it's going to finally be. So you'll get a glimpse of that this weekend. So we'll want, 2 people at that desk as well. The responsibilities are a little bit different for the welcome desk than greeters. Of course, greeters, we're looking for people who are gregarious. They're like outgoing. We want to lock eyes with people and say good morning, welcome. Not just, shoving a bulletin in somebody's face. First of all, we want to keep that till the end of Mass anyway. But we're looking for people who are, really love people, want to connect with people. And then make sure you're covering me if I'm missing anything, Micah. And the same thing goes for the folks on the desk, right? The welcome desk, hopefully, we're going to work up to where this is the central hub on the weekend for people to get questions answered. If they want to register to be a parishioner, if they want to, find out how to sign up for Vacation Bible School, we're really trying to be the church coming to them versus saying, oh, well, you'll have to figure that out online, go to this website, or, yeah, you really need to stop by the office Monday through Friday to figure that out. It's like, okay, that's fine, but really we want to be more hospitable. We want to go the extra mile. We want to say, hey, we've got your answers right here. You're welcome here. This is your home. Let us share that information with you. So similar things there with the welcome desk. There is a little bit more involved there. There will be kind of like a binder there with some frequently asked questions that you can refer to if people have questions. There'll be, a couple of iPads there where you can, pull up a tab really quickly. We'll have those preloaded to, if somebody asks to register for something, to become a parishioner, that sort of a thing. Some of the main responsibilities, something to keep in mind, and we're going to send you this information via email afterwards, so you don't feel like you have to just download it all right now in your head. But some of the main responsibilities for that you'll find, one that's kind of marks this a little bit different than you might be used to. We're going to ask you if you're serving on, let's say, the 9 o'clock mass. We want you to come 20 minutes early. Part of that's because you can't welcome people right when you get, you can't show up at 9 and welcome anybody. You're behind the 8 ball if you do that. But we want you to get here 20 minutes early. Meet us over at the desk, whether you're working the desk or you're at a door or whatever. We want to meet you there 20 minutes early. We want to have a brief time of prayer. First of all, we want to pray that this is really a ministry. We're really serving people. We're really reaching out with the love of Jesus. And then, but also to share maybe some wins, like, man, I was here last weekend, this happened, and this person really was grateful that we were there to catch them and to answer the question, to show them where the church is, whatever. And then, of course, have enough time to go to our posts, to be there early, so that we're catching people who are coming in early for that particular mass. Something that you might consider. It's not something that we're saying you have to do this in order to serve on this ministry. If you can swing it, maybe you worship at the 7:30 mass and you come and serve on the 9 or whatever. Maybe you go to a 5 and you come and serve at the 11:30. That is not a requirement, right? So if the only way you can serve on our ministry, do this ministry of welcoming, is you can only do it if you serve at the same mass that you attend, that's okay. That's fine. Well, Mike and I did that last week, right? We were welcoming, we were greeting, we were running around, and then time for mass to sit down with our families. And then the only thing there is you have to kind of keep in mind, if you're going to be a greeter, we also want you to say goodbye to people as they leave. So to walk back to where you were at the beginning, to say, I hope you have a great week. God bless you. See you next time, that sort of thing as they're walking out. So you'll just have to be like, okay, final blessing time. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to the exit. I'm going to be ready for people when they leave, that sort of a thing. Mike, is there
Yeah,
any other?
we're not saying you gotta wait till, leave right after communion and everything else there. We if you're worshiping there, we want you to, yeah, be at mass. Claudia, do you have a question?
Yeah, if I can get myself off mute. Would it be I don't know, a good idea? Because I can do, for example, reading at the 9 a.m. mass because I do the 7:30 mass. I don't have a problem of getting up and saying goodbye to people for the 7:30 mass and greeting the people that come in at the 9 a.m. mass.
Yeah, honestly, that's great. Like, so we had Jenny Huntress who was on last week. She's really a 5 p.m. Sunday mass goer. But she wanted to come out and check and see what was going on. And I think that's great as well because we want to really push this. Our goal is to push this to all the masses. Right now, really for Casey and my bandwidth on everything, we are just kind of focusing on the 9 and 11:30 to get it up and running, and also to kind of work out the kinks through things as well. Casey and I aren't the be all end all experts in this area as well, so we're really looking for team members to, if something goes wrong or something doesn't feel right, to really jump in and, offer your suggestions, help us where, like, Casey did something really bonehead, said, hey, do this. And you're like, well, that was a terrible idea. Let's try something else. So, yes, I think that's great as well, to do that kind of stuff. The one other thing I wanted to say, so Casey I will show you just a few wins that we got from last week, just so you kind of gives you an example of what we would do in this pre-mass huddle, with the prayer. So last weekend we had people out at the Heman Hall doors, down at the entrance where they actually came in, and people were holding the door open for them at the 9 a.m. mass. And Heather McClure came up and said, she had one lady that said, oh man, I feel so special because I'm getting door service today and everything else. And, that kind of sentiment just, it was mentioned 3 or 4 different times and everything. And so it really did have an impact on people. I was over greeting at the Guadalupe side at the 11:30 mass. That was a little interesting because, of course, there are some older parishioners in there. So I was outside hitting the button. And one gentleman almost didn't make it inside before I had to punch that button again real quick and everything else. But it was great to see the smile on people's faces. Just realizing somebody was outside greeting them. The one other thing that the team that Casey hasn't mentioned yet. So we are really trying to push to create a fellowship team for those 2 masses as well. What that fellowship team is going to do is we've got it approved to have coffee and donuts after all the masses. So the normal coffee and donuts team takes care of the first Sunday of the month. The Knights of Columbus normally have a second Sunday breakfast. I think they're actually off now until August or September. So we are looking to try to create a team to help with that second, third, and fourth Sunday for coffee and donuts as well. Right now, Casey and I are going to help try to work that out. Like I'll go pick up the donuts and help make coffee. So for that one, instead of like, you'd still come early, the 20 minutes early, you'd still do the pre-mass huddle, but you then would kind of go into the kitchen there, brew a pot of coffee, have it ready. Go ahead and set the donuts out before mass, and then, that way you don't have to leave so early and then run over to Heman Hall and try to get everything out. The donuts, the cups, plates, and everything would already be out. And then that way, when you get over to Heman Hall, you could still greet some people, and maybe a couple of people could go ahead and work on creating another pot of coffee and everything else. We will probably tone like what we do down just a little bit. So, instead of three or four different kinds of drinks, maybe we'll only do two or maybe three types of drinks as well. Somebody at our last one suggested, well, hey, maybe you don't have to do the donuts at every time. Could you do cookies after the 11:30 mass or something like that? And somebody said, well, could you actually do breakfast casseroles? So, those kind of ideas are things we're looking for as well to try to work on those fellowship teams. Because one guy said, I probably don't need a donut every single Sunday, but donuts are actually pretty cheap the way we get them as well. So that kind of covers the three different teams: the greeter team, the welcome desk team, and then the fellowship team as well. Let's see, Casey, what else are we missing, Casey?
The only other thing, so we'll send you the role descriptions. The last thing that we'll ask you to do, if you're like, yeah, I think I can do this, I want to sign on, we do have kind of an agreement that just kind of goes over some of the things that we talked about, what we're looking for in the volunteers for these ministries, the commitment, what we're asking you to do, and then what we're committed to do by supporting you, by being there. One of the things that's going to mark this from other attempts we've had in the past of hospitality or even other kinds of ministries, we're not just trying to just throw this in your all's lap and walk away. This is going to have me and Micah, staff support. We're really, really, really wanting to see this happen and work, and not just us. This is from Father John, right? So we're going to be there. We want to get these teams rolling as well as they can and take as long as it needs to take for us to get a robust hospitality ministry going at the 9/11/30 before then we turn our eyes to another, mass to be able to build it up there. So anyway, so we'll send you those documents. If you can print it and sign it, great. Or we'll have copies of them at the desk this weekend. So if you wanted to swing by, if you want to start with us this weekend, let us know. We'll do it. But if you still need to pray about it or something like that, you can swing by the desk this weekend and we'll get that information to you as well. So any other things or questions, Micah?
I will tell you a little bit too. So we have, through our church database system, we have a pretty robust scheduling system. Some of you may be Eucharistic ministers or lectors. So it's the same kind of system that we're going to use for this as well, to send out links so people can sign up for when they want to serve. And like Casey said, we're two. This is not one of those ministries that we get you to sign up for and you have to do it for the rest of your life. We really want, a committed group to help us get it off the ground. That's looking, you're looking to find your replacement as well. So that's the other thing we're looking for as well. If you have other people that might be interested or might be great for this, feel free to invite them to come along with you, stand at a door, or come at the welcome desk just to see how it is, to try it out. I think that's one of the things that sometimes when people think, oh, I'm signing up for this ministry, I'm doing it until I leave the parish. We don't want you to feel like that either. So that's the other thing we will do. We will send a scheduled email out on Monday, and you can sign up or not. The scheduling system allows you to put blockout dates. So if you can't, like I'm going to be out the whole month of June because I'm going to weddings or something like that, you can block those dates out and you won't even get an email and everything else. So yeah, I think that is look at there, 23 minutes. Does anybody have any questions or anything else?